Now, there is Emmanuel Augustus. As many of you know, he changed his name from Emmanuel Burton a few years back after his parents married, and he was an adult. 3 years ago, this fight would have been. And there's Courtney Burton from just a short ride down Lake Michigan shoreline in Benton Harbor. 20-2, 11 knockouts.
Bill Burton, please stand up.
See which one does tonight here as Augustus comes out early. He told us.
Well, maybe to the point where he took that fight away from Augustus. But then again, that's boxing.
Augustus's clowning and showboating has a tendency to really bother opposing fighters.
And toss at him like that as Burton's coming in.
Did a good job landing that left hand with Burton coming in there. Augustus putting his punches together, firing them off. He's already thrown 70 punches in the first 2 minutes of this first round.
You know, early on, quicker hands to Augustus. Now, Burton will switch on you. He'll switch southpaw every once in a while. And again, I have to say it again. This fight reminds me, remember when you were a kid? You used to play with the kids in the neighborhood. If you had a hill around your neighborhood, you'd be on the hill, and the kids would be trying to already be there, and you could do things to them. You could throw things at them before they get up there. Well, that's what this reminds me of. Augustus can throw.
Augustus doesn't mind. Augustus switches himself. He's seen every style, everything there is in this fight game.
So far, Augustus is following the plan that we talked about on the tips. Being first. Nothing much more complicated. Watch this style all night, people. It's going to come to two things. It's going to come to Augustus beating Burton, I believe, all night long to the spot, as Burton looks like he's coming uphill, trying to get. See, if I was Augustus, the one thing I wouldn't do is be too aggressive. I would keep my edge right out there. I would keep my edge right here, where as Burton's coming to you, pick him off. Pick him off. But if you start going to Burton, then you don't take advantage of that style. You don't take advantage of Burton being the slower guy and having to make up distance and come to you.
Augustus in control early. Orange, the always entertaining Emmanuel Augustus, formerly known as Emmanuel Burton. We're in the blue with gold trim. You see the punches in round number 2. 26-25, even in CompuBox numbers. But Teddy, it seemed like Augustus controlled the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, it definitely did, at least to us, and didn't see other people's home grounds.
There's a look at that hand speed of Emmanuel Augustus. Now here comes the showboating that he's known for. And this crowd here in Muskegon, Michigan gets the first taste of it. And Augustus has a lot of confidence here in round number 3 against Courtney Burton.
Well, this showboating can do 2 things. One, it can hurt him with the judges, even though, you know, you say it shouldn't come into play, but it can hurt him.
It's a new one from him, Teddy.
Yeah, well, it can hurt him at the same time by getting out of the flow of the fight, by paying too much attention to all that junk and not enough about what he was doing before, which was working, moving his hands and scoring more than the other guy.
I make it look easy because I love what I do. He considers himself, and
he doesn't do any of this showboating. And of course, Gatti has a better record. But Augustus wants to be one of those guys with bad records that go on to win world titles. We've had them. Buster Drayton, junior middleweight, Kelvin Seabrook, featherweight, Freddie Pendleton, lightweight, and even heavyweight, Mike Weaver.
All the showboating, all the clowning, you know what it resulted in? Still another solid round for Emmanuel Augustus. He's in control against Courtney Burton.
Just a little bit with the showboating, because sometimes the attention goes to guy. They remember that. When you showboat too much, maybe they forget the good stuff. And maybe this happens. When you start showboating too much, you let the guy get back into the fight. As he's coming uphill, that guy, time he did go uphill. But for the most part, if Augustus stays on top of hands, and with his style, when he's outside, he's able to get to Burton before Burton gets into his range. Right now, Augustus is allowing this round Burton to get into his range.
Burton doing much better here in the 4th round at the close range.
Yeah, for one reason. Because he's determined. He wants to turn around, also because of what Augustus is doing different. Laying on the ropes, not doing that, not moving his hands enough. Now he goes back to taking charge.
And now Augustus fighting his way off the ropes and has Burton with his back against the ropes. Right hand comes in, as does a good body shot. And Dan Kelly is saying it was low. Looked like it was on the belt. We'll be able to get a look at it. but obviously Burton in severe pain. Let's take a look at that body shot, Teddy. My initial thought was it was on the belt.
Well, we're going to get a look right here. Oh, that was a good body shot. And there's another one. That's above the belt. That's a good shot. This guy should not get away with this. The referee has made a mistake here. He wasn't in good position. Look where the referee is. Look at the body shot. The referee's on the wrong side. The referee cannot see that body shot. He is blinded by Emmanuel Augustus, and therefore he's now doing the wrong thing. He's allowing Burton to get all the time he needs to recover when he really shouldn't have. That was a good, clean body shot from Augustus, and he's being penalized right now.
Teddy, not only was the second one a good body shot, the first one I think hurt him.
The first one set up the second one. You're so right. This fight should possibly be right now in a position where Augustus is all over Burton, and Burton is fighting for his life to either survive or get stopped. Instead, he gets plenty of time, over a minute, to recover, and he can be back in this fight because of a bad call.
So fortunate circumstances for Courtney Burton. Could have been a knockdown, instead a low blow. In his career, taking on Emmanuel Augustus, one of the most entertaining fighters we have seen in the years of our Friday night and Tuesday night series. You see the punches in round number 4. Augustus a 26-22 edge, and in that last minute, when he scored what should have been a knockdown, he outlanded Burton 17-5, and all 17 of those connects were power shots, not a jab mixed in. Here in the early moments of round number 5, it has been Burton smothering Augustus and scoring on the inside. Does so right there with a left hand.
Burton working from the southpaw stance back and forth. Now he's orthodox again. The only time Burton is having any effect or any look of success is sometimes when he gets close. But even then, when Augustus wants to work, he's the better guy, the quicker hands, and he's got a better array of punches, better arsenal. He changes his punches up, doesn't stay with the same ones. He goes up, down, inside, outside, switches to the uppercut. But every once in a while, Augustus will go defensive a little too long. He's been known for that, and he's doing it right now. And that's what allows Burton to do some work. See, what Augustus has to learn to do all times, even if you've been robbed some of those times, some of them have to be legitimate. And some of his flaws are he goes defensive a little too long, and he's paid a little bit for that this round. When he's moving his hands, he's got the edge, he's the boss, he's the better guy. You know, the other side of the thinking of management, you bring a guy along real soft early on, you build him up to a record, maybe because of building him up to that record, you get him to a big fight, you get one day. Maybe, but also maybe he's not ready for that fight. He hasn't learned.
Augustus, you know, Teddy, when we have seen Courtney Burton in the past, you can tell the difference in how he trained for how he fights. When he fought Angel Manfredi, he locked himself in the Windy City gym, saw him in St. Thomas, Virgin Islands. He didn't train hard. He stayed here at home in Benton Harbor, Michigan. And truth be told, we thought he snuck out a very close, controversial win. Well, that's what he did this time for this fight. He didn't go away to Chicago. He stayed here with his buddies, with his family, with his friends, and trained on his terms.
And he came in the heaviest.
Of course, we know that many Courtney Burton fights have a back-and-forth style to them, and he's capable of coming up big. It's been in many dramatic finishes.
Well, Augustus has been in a lot of exciting, entertaining fights, and this is another one. He makes for good fights. He knows how to fight, and he's there for you to fight with.
Good left hand there from Emmanuel Augustus. Goes down to the body, putting his punches together.
What is this?
Well, referee Dan Kelly.
What is the referee doing here? He just broke a good exchange by Augustus. Just broke up good momentum by Augustus for a warning of a low blow.
It was a right hand to the side of the body. It's the second time it's happened tonight.
Well, you look for yourself whether or not there's a low blow that should have had the referee stopping the action here. I didn't see one. Maybe you people back home have better eyes than I do, but I did not. Here in Michigan, with the Michigan fighter Burton and the Michigan officials and the Michigan referee.
And Emmanuel Augustus is going to take this into his own hands because clearly referee Dan Kelly is not going to do anything in his favor tonight. The start of the 7th round here. Let's just recap a few things for you. And first of all, let's show you the CompuBox numbers for the power punches through 6 rounds. Augustus with a 136 to 109 edge. And in the 4th round, he landed 2 clean body shots. Burton went
working there when he wants to. He's got the quicker hands, and he mixes his punches up real well. And he'll use that uppercut, which can be a good punch inside with Burton, because Burton leans forward a little bit on the inside. But Burton wants to be in close, because on the way in, the quicker hands of Augustus and the longer arms are giving him a big edge. The best way for Augustus to serve himself is to get outside and do what he was doing.
One of the most entertaining fighters. He's skilled, he's entertaining, and he's quite a character.
And he's not playing around right now. And I like that even better. He's just doing what you're supposed to do. Moving those hands, getting the job done.
Right hand scores at the end of the...
Protected just a little bit because it also glances off the elbow, which should not have been judged a low blow, but it was.
Now here is what Emmanuel Augustus does best. He makes conscious decisions, the clowning, the looseness. He'll fire off 15 punches consecutively. You never know what you're going to get, and you can tell right from the beginning he's decided that this 8th round of 36 connects did Emmanuel Augustus. Here he goes, folks.
See, the key right now is not what Burton's doing when Augustus is doing all this junk. It's what Burton's not doing. He should be jumping on him while his hands are down, while he's out of position, and he should be throwing punches. Instead, he's frustrated. He just grabbed a hold of Augustus, and Augustus is the one who gets won. Burton just grabbed a hold of him, tried to wrestle him a little bit because he's frustrated. And of course, Augustus wants to get into his head, wants to frustrate him.
Teddy, let's bring back up the fact that in his last fight, a fight he was winning, Emmanuel Augustus was disqualified in the 7th round because he was bothering the referee Lawrence Cole so much. A couple fouls came his way. They were basically unsportsmanlike penalties. They weren't actual fouls in the boxing sense, and he was DQ'd. Well, I don't think Dan Kelly and Emmanuel Augustus, Dan Kelly being the referee tonight, have the best working relationship going on right now either. Look at this.
Well, proof of that is you just saw some rapid punches from Burton. And if there was ever a bad foul, the foul of rapid punching behind the head is about as bad as you can get. And Burton was not warned.
But still, Emmanuel Augustus moves on, puts his punches together, and continues to dominate this 8th round.
Not too much bothers this guy when you've been to the places he's been.
Almost as if they don't like the fact that he's stylish on breaking away. It's not as if he's fouling on these breaks. It's just the way he is.
Well, there was a left hook a minute ago, a little bit low, but not sent it, off on the side. But the referee was on the wrong side. He could not see it. And that was by Augustus.
The ever-entertaining Emmanuel Augustus. Another interesting showing tonight against Courtney Burton.
Boy, he was really, as you said, Joe, he was bowing to the fans. He was talking to them. He was having conversation with them.
You're watching our main event. Junior welterweights, Emmanuel Augustus in the blue and gold. Courtney Burton in the black with orange trim. Burton, who as recently as this March was ranked in Ring Magazine's top 10. He's trying to get back to that position, but having a tough time of it tonight against Emmanuel Augustus, who had a 33-15 edge in the 8th round. And now this is the point of the fight where he frustrates his opponent, and Courtney Burton just doesn't have the answers. It's almost like he's frozen watching the spectacle of Emmanuel Augustus, Teddy.
Range to a new level. But does it help his career? And I have to say that. Does it help his career? Yes, he's winning this fight. Yes, he's got Burton beaten and frustrated. But I think he should be continuing throwing punches, not doing all those chokeholds. I don't know that it helps his career.
But you know what, Teddy, and this is the truth of it. In the boxing business, when people know Emmanuel Augustus is on TV, there is a little bit of a buzz. People always want to see him.
Is it because of the showboat? Is it because of his loose
I think it's the total package. Fights past 8 rounds, 19-3 Augustus now. Really curious results. Let's take a look at Teddy Atlas's scorecard as it stands with 8 rounds completed. 79-73, only 1 round scored for Courtney Burton. That's exactly the way I have it, and I'd be shocked if you could have it any other way. Now here's referee Dan Kelly with the point deduction against Augustus. This is something that has gone on all night long as Dan Kelly has seemingly done everything in his powers to make this as difficult a time for Emmanuel Augustus as possible.
But I want to know what the point was for. That's what I need to know. Why did he take that point away? I don't know that there's a rule that says you can take a point away for fooling around the ring. I mean, I know you can go and you can push it to an extreme and talk about unsportsmanlike conduct, but I don't think anyone could say that there's been anything like unsportsmanlike conduct so far from Augustus. So I'd like to know what that point was for.
Teddy, when we come back for the 10th round, we will tell you what the point was for, because we're going to flat out ask Dan Kelly and get some sense of this situation. Dan Kelly, who in the 4th round called it a low blow when Augustus ostensibly scored a knockdown, then a warning in the 6th round, now a point deduction here in the 9th round.
This was from the last round. Now there, a little spin there, unorthodox, no doubt about it, but I don't know what's in the rule book that you can't do it. And that's what the point was taken away. And of course, when you asked him, Joe, and you did your job, and you asked the referee got angry at you. I thought he was going to take a point away from you. I'm glad he didn't send you to the locker room, because he was very angry at you for even asking.
Referee Dan Kelly playing a very big role in this fight between Augustus and Burton. This is the 10th and final round. Now, Teddy, would it not be a disadvantage to Augustus to spin and turn your back to an opposing fighter? Where in the world? A foul typically is because you've done something to harm the other fighter or something that's advantageous to you that's outside the rules of boxing. That's not to his advantage. See,
I'm not going to say I know that rule for a fact. I do know that you can't turn another guy around. That, and as you just touched on, that's advantageous to you and could hurt your opponent. But this was disadvantageous.
Turned himself around.
To himself. He turned himself around. I don't know that you can warn him for it, and say, hey, don't do that anymore. But to just take a point away, I think it might speak a little bit to the tone of this fight and the frustration in the referee, and maybe the feeling of the referee towards Augustus right now. But still, any way you look at it, Augustus was fooling around with body language more than he was moving his hands, and allowed Burton to have a nice run right here.
Well, the crowd trying to get behind the Michigan native, Courtney Burton.
And you got
both men throwing here. Left hand scores from Burton. Augustus comes forward, scores a right of his own.
Still the clean punches.
Good punch.
Still being scored by Augustus, and good body shots that hurt Burton just a moment ago. Burton's been taking a lot of punches tonight, and he's looking like a guy who's a little bit worn out. And you know what? If it wasn't for those reprieves that Augustus gave Burton, who knows if Burton could have continued taking the onslaught of shots that he's been taking.
Very good 10th and final round between Courtney Burton and Emmanuel Augustus. But it looks like Emmanuel Augustus got the best of it down the stretch. He landed 48 out of 88 total punches in that final round. Let's take a look at what happened between Emmanuel Augustus and Courtney Burton. First in the 4th round, Augustus lands a clean and devastating body punch there, then comes back and lands one right on the belt, and Burton goes down. Seemingly a great knockdown scored by Emmanuel Augustus, but instead, referee Dan Kelly says no, it was a low blow. He gives him the 5 minutes to rest.
Of course, there's another angle of it, and you can see.
This was the 2nd one, Teddy. A warning was handed out in the 6th round. Then the rabbit punches later in the fight, Teddy.
And that's the worst foul you can commit, punching behind the head where you're not protected back there. I mean,
but yet, who was admonished there?
Nobody. Watch right here. Or the wrong guy, I should say. The referee looks at the guy who took the rabbit punches and started to admonish him. Now and here you see the spin around.
Here's the one that just blew our mind.
And this is where a point gets taken away from Augustus for spinning around, nothing else, and then almost a point gets taken away from you for asking why.
What was the point for what? For what? Turn around, back face. He did what? Turn around, back face the guy. He turned around, he flipped him around. He flipped the other.
There's referee Dan Kelly, who clearly didn't like the fact that I was questioning his call, but I wanted an explanation after the 9th round, Teddy. And if you listen to what Dan Kelly says, he says that he flipped him around. He saw the opposite of what took place. He thinks Augustus flipped around Burton. It
Exactly,
didn't take place.
very good point. Exactly, that's not what took place. Augustus, if any flipping was done, the flipping was done by Augustus. He turned himself around.
Let me tell you something. You see a happy Emmanuel Augustus right now. He may go berserk if this goes against him. Let's take a look at the total punches between Augustus and Burton. 302 to 231. As for Teddy Atlas's scorecard, 97-92, clear-cut decision for Augustus, but let's see how Tony Rockman will spit it out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, after 10 great rounds of boxing, we go to the judges' scorecards for our decision. Judge Ed Mosley scored the bout 97-92. Judge Robert Paganelli scored the bout 99-90. And Judge Jack Richards scored the bout 98-94. For a split decision, the winner from Benton Harbor, Michigan.
Well, wait a minute here. First of all,
Wait a minute.
First of all,
This is terrible. This is disgraceful. First of all, they said a split decision.
they said a split decision.
I mean, and it's not a split decision. This is a travesty here. This is terrible. Look, this guy Augustus acted like a clown tonight, but he also acted like a fighter. He also fought like a fighter, and he won this damn fight.
All right.
This is a disgrace.
Listen, Teddy, I just grabbed the score sheet from
This
the
is a
ring
disgrace
announcer.
here. There should be
here's
an
the deal.
investigation. This is what's wrong with boxing. This is what chases our great fans away from this great sport.
Official Jack Richards had it 98-94 for Emmanuel Augustus. Okay? Had it 98-94 for Emmanuel Augustus. The other two ringside judges, 99-90 for Courtney Burton, 97-92 for Courtney Burton for a split decision.
My only question is when. My only question, and they wrote
Hey,
down.
buddy, get out of here. It's not a majority decision.
This is mine.
Okay?
It is a majority.
But if it's a majority decision,
Where's
why
the
is there
draw?
not? Where's the draw?
Where's the draw for a majority
Our official
decision?
here is telling us wrong. Where's
All right,
the
we have
draw?
Michigan
If it's a
officials going
majority
nuts on us
decision, there's gotta
ringside.
be an even
They've got it
score.
wrong.
How come you don't have an even score?
That's not a majority
You're
decision.
telling me it's a majority decision. Do you know the rules of boxing?
Judges scored it for one box.
No, it's only a majority decision if there was an even score. There's no even score here. You're an official, right? You're an official of the state. Well, then you don't understand how to score. This is not the way you have it here. It's a split decision. It's not a majority decision. A majority decision. You're wrong. All right? All right, you understand that you're wrong. This official here in Michigan is telling me, and he's admitting that he's wrong. Can we fix this now? Because the wrong guy got the decision. Can we fix this?
Well, actually, Teddy,
No, I know. As far as the scorecard, really,
Oh, this
I gotta
is
tell you,
comical.
the right guy didn't get the decision.
This is
But it's the
comical.
way it's just written up. You got two judges voting, of course, for the local guy, Burton. And we really believe down to our toes that is an awful travesty. That is bad for boxing. That is terrible. But you as an official, you've been honest enough to admit that you didn't understand. You came and you told us it was a majority decision, and you were wrong.
It is a split decision.
It's a split decision, and you know what? I'm talking to you, the official. It's a shame.
All right,
it's a
folks.
split decision, but it's a shame.
and in our main event, it was Courtney Burton coming up with the win against Emmanuel Augustus in controversial fashion.